right.
Excuse me, Governor. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here on this beautiful day. And by beautiful day, no one can rain on our parade today. Today is just another major step forward in our journey to create a more inclusive and accessible public transportation system. I have the privilege and honor of being here today with Governor Maura Healey, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Ed Markey, Rep. Tommy Vitello, Federal Transit Administrator Peter Butler, Secretary of Transportation Monica Tibbits-Nutt, City of Boston Chief of Streets Yasha Franklin Hodge, who is here on behalf of Mayor Michelle Wu, Brookline Town Administrator Charles Carey, Joanne Daniels-Feingold, Bill Henning, Kat Torres, Olivia Richard of Brighton, and to all of our distinguished guests, thank you for being here. As we celebrate a significant achievement, the MBTA's successful grant application for the Federal Transit Administration's All Stations Accessibility Program, also known as ASAP, allowing us to accelerate accessibility on the Green Line. I want to start by thanking, yes, that's right. I want to start by thanking Governor Healey and her administration for their leadership and a commitment to making public transit system more reliable and accessible for all. This ASAP grant and our application was successful due to her commitment to public transportation and her vision and support. Governor Healey, thank you very much. I also wish to thank our state legislature, both in the House and Senate, for their strong voice and advocacy that was so instrumental. To Secretary Tibbits-Nutt, thank you for your commitment and support as we fulfill transportation needs, improving quality of life for those we serve. And to all our supportive partners in towns and cities across the state, we know we cannot accomplish this work on our own. And we thank our partners who tirelessly, their efforts have helped us secure federal funding, making accessibility improvements a reality. Federal Transit Administrator, Regional Administrator Pete Butler, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Ed Markey, Congressman Richard Neal, Congressman Jake Auchincloss, Congresswoman Ayanna Presley, and countless other elected leaders. There are a lot to thank, and I don't want to leave any of them. They're all staunch advocates of the MBTA and our efforts to improve service and accessibility. And at the local level, I need to thank Mayor Michelle Wu and the City of Boston, as well as the town of Brookline, for being key partners as we work to upgrade these Green Line stations. Your support has been critical to this success. To the accessibility advocates and members of the disability community, advocates like Joanne Daniels-Feingold and residents like Olivia Richard, I want to thank and express my deep gratitude for your tireless efforts. Day-to-day ridership has pushed us to do better, and your input has been invaluable as we develop these plans. We still have much work to do, and I'm confident, though, that we can get there. Finally, I have to acknowledge an incredible MBTA team that has worked so hard to get us to this point. Truly all hands-on-deck effort from our accessibility department to our capital delivery, engineering, and safety and operations teams. The entire workforce is responsible for putting these upgrades into service on behalf of our customers, improving their experience and community engagements. I'd like to thank a few other quick folks. My Assistant General Manager, Laura Brailsford, Chief of Accessibility for the Accessibility Statewide Department. Laura couldn't be here today, but her team is here in full force. I thank all of them. Chief of Engineering, Sam Zhao, in the Engineering Department. They will be delivering these projects for all of us. And the Chief of Policy, Lindsay Heffernan, and grant writing team for putting together a successful application. Through this grant, we will successfully widen platforms to provide ample space for movement to support with boarding, improve bridge plate equipment with existing Green Line trains being able to use them. This will benefit riders with wheelchairs and those who have difficulty using stairs, and other amenities such as benches, giving riders a place to rest while they wait for the next train. With the designs complete, we anticipate putting these projects out to bid this summer, with construction kicking off in 2025. I look forward to delivering these long-awaited, fully accessible stations for all that need them. We understand that for too long, our transit system has not kept up with the pace and the needs of our diverse community, but under the leadership of Governor Healey, we are taking swift action to correct this. Whether it's delivering a low-income fare program or delivering more frequent and reliable service to neighborhoods that have historically had less access, like on the Fairmont line, the ASAP grant is just an example how we are working to create more equitable transportation system. So with that, please join me in welcoming a true champion for accessible transportation whose leadership and commitment in improving the lives of all residents have been instrumental in securing this funding, advancing our shared funding vision for a more equitable future. Governor Maura Healey.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Phil. You know, GM Eng has come in and taken on a real challenge, and I really appreciate every single day his and his team's continued leadership and attention to detail and you know, getting after this. And today is another example of that. We're really excited to be here today. I know we were going to be at Rep. Vitolo's tea stop, and sorry that the conditions prevailed, such as they are, that we're here inside today. But you know, it's an important celebration today. It really is, and it's an important milestone. It's about making sure that our Green Line is accessible to all riders. That's what public transit is all about. And so to Bill, the BCAL, to our advocates, to those at the T who work on accessibility, I just want to say personally, I really am grateful to you for making this happen and look forward to the quick execution through Sam and the efforts to make this the reality. We could not do this work were it not for members of our own state legislature who have been there 100% of the way in supporting funding for this and working with our federal partners. So to Rep. Vitolo, to Rep. Kevin Honan, to others who are here, I appreciate all of that support. And to our federal partners, Senators Markey and Warren, thank you for your continued partnership in delivering the resources from the federal government that we need to improve public transit in the state. I know how important it is to each of you, and I appreciate your leadership and your advocacy, the leadership of your colleagues in the delegation. We're here in Congressman Auchincloss's district. He had another event today, but he's played a critical role as well. To Pete Butler, welcome home to Massachusetts, and our regional administrator, Pete Butler of the FTA. We thank you for their partnership as well. And we thank Yasha Franklin Hodge and the Mayor Wu, the City of Boston, for their continued partnership in this. Also on our team, Secretary of Transportation Monica Tibbits-Nutt, and also our Director of Federal Funds and Infrastructure, Quentin Palfrey. Thank you very much, Quentin. We brought back over $3 billion to date in federal funds to the Commonwealth through the work of that office. But really, most of all, I just want to thank the advocates for your passion, who deserve a public transit system, as I said, that works for all of us. And I want to thank you for your advocacy and tell you that we are deeply, deeply committed to seeing this through. This week, the Biden administration awarded $343 million to transit systems nationwide to modernize stations and improve accessibility. And today we are announcing that Massachusetts and the T, we're bringing home 20% of that, okay? $67 million that's going right into upgrading station platforms at 14 stops along the Green Line, the B and the C branches, including right here in Brookline and at Brandon Hall. These stops are currently not accessible to many riders with disabilities, but they will be when this critically important work gets done. This is a big win for our state, and it didn't happen by accident. Again, it's about teamwork, it's about strategy, and that's what this administration is trying to be about from day one. As I mentioned, we created this Federal Office of Infrastructure and Funding because we wanted to make sure that we were doggedly pursuing and maximizing the chances for federal dollars coming back to our state with the work of the great delegation that we have. And Quentin and the team worked very hard in these applications, working with Phil and the team at the T on this, and again, grateful to our senators for the work done here. Now, I'll just update something. That's to say that we're now more than a year, so we're just shy of 18 months, and we've secured now a total of more than $6 billion in federal funds. So that's a little update from my comments 45 seconds ago, okay? Because I was talking about a year ago. Now we're talking about 18 months. This is a problem when you go off script. But it's an important thing to note. $6 billion, 18 months, and that's federal funding coming right back to Massachusetts that we're marrying with state funding, right, and making good things happen. And we certainly know the importance of doing this when it comes to infrastructure, particularly public transit. Thank you again to Joanne and others who, are here today, who actually had to file lawsuits in order to assert their rights. And I hope you feel the vindication today. I am grateful for your tenacity as a former civil rights chief and a civil rights lawyer. I appreciate the work that you and your teams have done, and I'm pleased that we can deliver this today with also an important promise to continue to pursue everything that we need to do to make our T accessible to all riders here in Massachusetts. So we'll leave no stone unturned when it comes to funding sources. especially under a Biden administration that is making historic investments. We've not seen money like this before ever come into our state, like we're seeing through the Biden administration on transportation, on infrastructure, on climate, and so much more. So we're grateful for that, and we are grateful to have the champions in Washington, D.C. that we have representing all of us. And I'd like to turn it over now to our friend and partner and a great champion for this work and so much more, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is great to be here, and it is even better to have great news. Thanks to the work of President Biden, of the Democrats in Congress, of Governor Healey, of General Manager Eng, of my partner Ed Markey, and the rest of our federal delegation, and all of the advocates who got out and fought for it, we are here today to celebrate nearly $68 million is coming to Massachusetts to help us fix the Green Line. Big woo-hoo on that. Transit is the circulatory system of our community. Transit is jobs, transit is access to health care, transit is access to housing. Transit is how we link it all together. And it is critical that we have transit that we can depend on and transit that is accessible to everyone. This long overdue investment will bring us one step closer to making sure that Massachusetts residents have the first-class infrastructure that they are entitled to. Upgraded station platforms, accessibility for riders with disabilities, greater safety measures, and good new jobs. And not just any jobs, good union jobs that will help people build careers. The only downside of this news, when we fix the Green Line, the people who make those transit memes are going to have a lot less to work with. I fought hard to help pass the bipartisan infrastructure law to make sure that we get this funding. Over the last 3 years alone, I worked with my colleagues and my partner Ed Markey in Congress and our Massachusetts leaders to bring in $20 billion in federal funding to Massachusetts. I'll say that again, 3 years, $20 billion. That funding means big wins for workers, for our climate, and for everyone who takes the T, who drives over bridges, who rides the city bus, who catches the school bus, and most of all, for the future generations who will feel the impact of these changes for years to come. This $20 billion is just the start. I'm going to keep fighting to keep those federal dollars flowing into Massachusetts because I believe that you and I together can build a stronger, safer, and more accessible Commonwealth. It is good to be here to celebrate with all of you and especially with my partner, Ed Markey.
Thank you, Elizabeth, so much. Thanks to all of you who are here today celebrating transit equity. And Governor Healey, your team is doing the job.
Yeah.
You guys are doing the job. You're making the applications, getting the funding, and your transit team is on the job every day. And Senator Warren and I, we're down in Washington. We're fighting hard, as we did, for the infrastructure bill to put in ultimately hundreds of billions of dollars, and that's the payoff that we're seeing here today. That's what happens when you have a president that wants to improve the infrastructure of our country. And Senator Warren and I and our delegation work very hard to accomplish this goal that we're celebrating here today. Phil Eng, Peter Butler, Monica Tibbits-Nutt, Yaska, Franklin Hodge, Charles Carey, all the writers, all the advocates, and Joanne Daniels-Feingold and Olivia Richard. Thank you for your historic leadership on this. And I also want to recognize and thank all of the MBTA employees for their tireless work on behalf of our public transit system. I'm grateful for your service, and I'm thrilled to celebrate $67.6 million to make 14 Green Line stations fully accessible to everyone. Securing this monumental federal funding requires close partnership, and I am grateful for the proactive work of the Healey administration, of the MBTA, and the collaboration of public officials at all levels of government. And I want to thank the Federal Transit Administration and the Biden administration for this critical investment. With grants like these, the Biden administration is moving full speed ahead towards a just and accessible national transportation system. And most critically, I want to thank our seniors and riders with disabilities. This transformative project would not be possible without your advocacy, insight, and dedication. And in particular, I want to acknowledge Olivia Richard, along with Joanne Daniels-Feingold, and the other 11 riders who led the class action lawsuit that spurred the MBTA towards far greater accessibility. You are the deans of disability rights, and we owe you our deep gratitude. Thank you so much. And because of you, today, we can actually say that we're going to make, MBTA is going to stand for Making Boston Transit Accessible to everyone. And it would not have happened without your lawsuit. So we thank you. We're all aboard the route to transit justice, allowing riders to take advantage of the Green Line equitability and to do so with dignity. The Green Line connects workers to jobs, patients to healthcare, students to colleges and universities, and visitors to our economic and cultural centers. My first job at age 16, taking the Green Line out here from Malden to work at the New England Food Fair on Harvard Street in Brookline. No Green Line, no Ed Markey working at the New England Food Fair. When I was going to Boston College, I had to take the Green Line out to Boston College. No Green Line, no way for Ed Markey to get to Boston College. And the same thing is true today. It's the way it goes. But the Green Line was built before the Americans for Disabilities Act in 1990. And so it was not accessible. So that's what we're celebrating today for the 21st century. We're going to upgrade it with the sensibilities of the 21st century. And all of those 14 stations are going to have those values that are going to be built into it so that anyone will be able to use it. And we're just going to have to continue on this course following the leadership of Olivia and Joanne to make our public transit system an express route to justice for everyone in our society. That has to be our goal. That's what we're celebrating here today, and it is just something that I think everyone should be so proud of. And I think my job now is to introduce the Federal Transit Administration Regional Administrator, Peter Butler. Okay, Peter, come on.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of Secretary Pete Buttigieg and Acting FTA Administrator Veronica Vanderpool, I am so very excited to be with you here to celebrate this All Stations Accessibility Program Award. As a result of your federal delegation support of the bipartisan infrastructure law, FTA is well positioned to support more projects like this one. We will never lose sight of the potential of FTA's programs to benefit all Americans. We will continue to promote equity by making it easier for people with disabilities and mobility needs to access some of the nation's oldest rail stations. I'd like to give a special thank you to Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, members of the state legislature, Secretary Tibbits-Nutt, General Manager Eng, for your leadership and support of critical transit investments. In closing, we have always innovated in America, and we have always looked to the next horizon. Today, the Commonwealth is planning the innovations that will transform our transportation system while protecting our air, our water, and our shared future. At FTA, it is our job to shepherd that innovation, to help fund those steps forward, and to celebrate the future you will build for us. Thank you. And it's my pleasure to introduce Secretary Monica Tibbits-Nutt.
Thank you, Administrator, and thank you, General Manager, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today on this beautiful and historic day. I want to thank Governor Healey, Senator Markey, Senator Warren, Congressman Lynch, Regional Administrator Butler, Administrator Carey, Director of Federal Funds and Infrastructure, Quentin Palfrey, Chief of Streets, Yasha Franklin Hodge, Joanne Feingold, and Olivia Richard for being here today to celebrate with us. A successful transportation system is one that allows everyone the freedom of unimpeded transit. From day one, Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll made it clear that their vision was for a statewide transportation network accessible to everyone, everywhere. They underscored that our state's growth and vitality hinged on efficient transportation networks which link communities to transportation hubs seamlessly and which give everyone mobility options. This $67 million grant for the MBTA to make ADA improvements at 14 Green Line stations will make a profound difference in the lives of our residents who have mobility challenges. Not everyone can get everywhere under their own power, so an accessible and reliable Green Line train or other public transportation vehicle can serve as a lifeline, ensuring timely movement between residential areas and where people need to go for work, school, to shop, or to take in recreation, the arts, or culture. The Green Line, commuter rail, and other public transportation vehicles are all convenient and environmentally friendly and help to navigate through densely populated urban areas with ease. The Healey-Driscoll administration focuses on a connected state transportation network, which means prioritizing projects outside the MBTA system as well. We are working with regional transit authorities to bridge the gaps in existing systems and cater to areas where expanding passenger rail might not be viable. It's always valuable. We recently announced that since last year, when the governor announced a whole-of-government approach to going after federal funding, the administration has successfully won more than $1 billion in discretionary grants for transportation projects. These grants have included $108 million for West-East Rail. So we are also grateful to the Biden administration, FTA officials, and our congressional delegation for the $67 million grant we are celebrating today, and want to say very adamantly that we will continue to compete aggressively for more federal dollars to improve our state's transportation system. I do too. It's amazing. No, but seriously, I'm so excited. We are doing so good. Working with the governor and her team, with our elected leaders, our municipal officials, the MBTA and mass.gov workforce, advocacy groups, and community members, we will continue to apply for grant money and continue to launch projects such as these 14 station ADA improvements on the Green Line. Making the MBTA accessible to everyone, regardless of their mobility challenges, is a priority. It is a necessity. More transportation options, better connecting neighborhoods across the state, more public transit improvements will help us reduce greenhouse gases and move toward achieving our climate goals. And by creating a seamless connection for our community members, we will lift everyone up, everyone, and have a positive impact on the communities we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. If I could invite up now City of Boston Chief of Streets, Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Thank you, GM. Thank you, Secretary. I just want to start by saying thank you to all of the folks who are here today, Governor Healey, Senators Warren and Markey, Administrator Butler, Secretary Tibbits-Nutt, all of the other elected officials who have been part of making this announcement and this day possible. I'm Yasha Franklin Hodge. I'm the Chief of Streets for the City of Boston, and I'm here on behalf of Mayor Michelle Wu. This is an exciting day to celebrate an important investment in accessibility for all. These improvements will help make the T a better option for more people. Where the B branch of the Green Line travels through the city of Boston, we have some of the most challenging stations anywhere in the MBTA system. Boarding the train can be difficult, even for people without mobility challenges, and in some cases impossible for those with those challenges. Even those people who are not riding the T are faced with difficulties. The crosswalks at many of the station locations are not accessible, and it's impossible for somebody to safely and conveniently cross the street if they're using a wheelchair or another mobility device. As the City of Boston, at the City of Boston, we are proud partners with the MBTA. We know that to tame traffic in Boston and to continue to grow as a city, we must have a transit system that is accessible, that is safe, and that is reliable. Public transit should be an option for everyone, and this grant and this funding is an important step to get us to that vision. Transportation is integral to quality of life for people in the city of Boston and the surrounding region. As we all know, a good or a bad commute can impact our whole day. But more than just the daily commute or the experience of any one trip, transportation is what connects us as community. Transportation is what lets everyone feel like they are part of the place that they live and can access all of the resources, the friends, the schools, the parks, the daily errands that make up our daily lives here in the city. These accessibility improvements will help more of these trips go smoothly and ultimately give people more good choices as to how to get around. So I want to end by just thanking the T and the administration for continuing to make accessibility and the dignity of riders a priority. I want to thank Secretary Tibbits-Nutt for her clear-eyed leadership and the values that she has anchored all of the state's transportation investments in. And I want to thank our senators and our congressional delegation for their incredible advocacy working to secure funding for these kinds of improvements. Lastly, I want to thank the advocates who have pushed every level of government to do better, to do more, to deliver a truly inclusive, a truly accessible transportation system. We owe this to everyone in our city, in our Commonwealth, and I appreciate your advocacy and your continued fight to make sure that we deliver on that. So we look forward to this continued partnership to create a better transit system that will work for everyone. Thank you very much. And I will now introduce Chaz Carey, who is the town administrator for the town of Brookline. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Brookline. We brought the weather nice for you. Thank you very much. I'm Chaz Carey. I'm Brookline's town administrator. On behalf of our community, I'd like to thank the people joining us today who helped make this happen. The governor, Secretary Tibbits-Nutt, the other members of the Healey-Driscoll administration, General Manager Eng and the staff at the MBTA, Senators Warren and Markey, and our federal partners at the FTA. I also want to recognize Brookline Select Board member and former Transportation Board Chair, Mike Sandman, who is here, current Transportation Board Chair and MBTA Chair, Brian Kane, as well as our Commissioner of Public Works, Aaron Shute. Brookline is a community on the rise. We are the largest municipality in Massachusetts that it calls itself a town rather than a city. I know Plymouth occasionally disputes this, but Plymouth's not here right now. So we're just going to say we're right. Now, we grew by almost 10,000 residents between 2010 and 2020. We are incredibly fortunate to have some of the trappings of suburbia, like verdant open space and a remarkable tree canopy, combined with the vibrant nature of our built urban environments, like those in Coolidge Corner, Washington Square, and right here in Brookline Village. One of the key things that will help people come and stay in Brookline is multimodal public transit, like the 3 branches of the Green Line that run through town. Thanks to the leadership of the Select Board, Brookline took a major step into the future last year by passing landmark zoning reform in response to the MBTA Communities Act. This was the product of intense community discussions that resulted in a compromise that will hopefully drive sustainable, community-centric growth along the Harvard Street corridor and serve as a model for other neighborhoods. But in order for that growth to take root, Brookline has to be accessible to everyone. The federal funds that the MBTA won from the bipartisan infrastructure law that our senators supported are going to be transformative for individuals who might not otherwise think of Brookline as a mobility-friendly place. Seniors, individuals with disabilities, and parents of small children all need ADA-compliant public transit stops. To add 14 of them along these crucial arteries that run through Brookline is a game changer. The Beacon Street corridor in particular is going to see a lot of activity in the coming years. Thanks to an earmark supported by both of our senators and Representative Auchincloss, Brookline will be completely redeveloping the bridle path that runs down the center of that street. This MBTA work will be a complementary element of that effort, and we look forward to working closely and collaboratively with regular communication to the T to ensure that we're in sync on our efforts here. In conclusion, I want to thank everyone at the state and federal level for bringing this transformative change to Brookline. If we're to continue to rise, to make this community an exemplary one for people of all backgrounds to live, work, explore, and enjoy, we need to continue thinking big with community-centric projects like this. In my office, up on the 6th floor here, I have a quote on the wall from the Scottish author Alasdair Gray. It says, "Work as if you live in the early days of a better nation." Even in times like these, when the news can feel unrelentingly bad, accomplishments like this grant that are going to make this town a better place give me renewed reasons to keep taking that quote to heart. Thank you to everyone who made this possible. Thank you all for being here, and welcome to Brookline. It is now my pleasure to introduce one of the individuals who was crucial to making this happen, Joanne Daniels-Feingold, the lead plaintiff in the accessibility settlement of Daniels-Feingold versus the MBTA.
Good morning. Back in 2006, when we signed the settlement agreement with the MBTA, I said, this is going to tie me to the MBTA for the rest of my life. And I wasn't wrong, but I don't see this as an obligation as much as a responsibility to contribute to the community in which I live. I live at the edges, the southern edges of the MBTA access area. The settlement itself, plus all the improvements that have been made, don't just affect people who have mobility disabilities. The improvements have been made with regard to people who are blind, people who are deaf, any one of a number of non-apparent disabilities, invisible disabilities. These are not just for people who are disabled, they're for people who are temporarily disabled by a broken limb, or people who have a number of children and carriages and packages, and people who are going to the airport. All the access improvements have not just improved the lives of those of us who are disabled, they've improved the lives of the passengers in general. This has everybody in mind, but it did start with the disability community. And it started with an attorney by the name of Tara Doucette, who works for Greater Boston Legal Services, who was getting local meetings with people who were in the Dorchester-Roxbury area and giving lessons on legal advice, what to know when they're going through life, and hearing the complaints of people who had difficulty reaching the meeting places. She approached and got permission to engage in this lawsuit that has really been groundbreaking and afforded much in the way of improvements for the lives of people in the MBTA access area. I think, oh, by the way, those of us who named plaintiffs worked. I had an office at GBLS in which I went through Bates boxes full of documents to make sure that we were covering everything and getting the information we needed to prove our case. And I thank Attorney Doucette, as well as Attorney Dan Manning, our organizational plaintiff, the Great Boston Center for Independent Living, and all those people who were part of the class who were involved in proving the case that we really needed public transportation to be improved. And we did it. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Olivia Richard, who lives in Brighton.
I got it. Good morning. I am Olivia Richard. I'm a member of the Boston Center for Independent Living, as well as a member of the Boston Commission for Persons with Disabilities Advisory Board. And I live in Brighton, and I am a very frequent Green Line user. I cannot be more excited about this news. As a wheelchair user who has never been able to access these 14 stations independently before, this is essentially equivalent to constructing 14 new stations that never existed to me. This is awesome. It gives me more options when there are diversions or a car breaks down. It gives more options for places to shop. It gives more options for places to go to the dentist. It gives more freedom and more independence. I rely on the Green Line to do all sorts of things. I rely on it for medical appointments. I basically it's my primary form of transportation. With these additional stations, so many residents and visitors will benefit just like I have. We saw when Babcock Street and Amory Street came online on the B line that those accessibility improvements opened up opportunity to access new medical care, to access new parts of the Green Line. And it was a game changer. It was fantastic. So there's a huge thanks to the MBTA, the FTA, Boston, and Brookline. And I cannot wait to join in for the ribbon cutting.
Olivia, can't wait to have you there at the ribbon cutting. We're really excited about that and really appreciate all the speakers. I think with that, we'll take on topic questions, please.
General Manager, about the B-line stops, it took $30 million to consolidate those 4 B-line stops into 2 B-line stops. Is $67 million going to be enough to do 14 stops?
Yes, and in fact, we're really so pleased the fact that our application pursued the maximum we can have, 80% of the total project cost. So that $67 million represents 80%. We have the other 20%, and we're going to deliver this project for everyone that needs it.
And that other 20% is coming out of the MBTA's
Correct, yes.
budget?
Other questions? Thank you very much. Really appreciate everyone being here today.